And I quote, "I'll be there in a minute. Give me a second."
Time is relative, folks. Time is relative.
Yes. So, hey, cheers to everybody in the chat.
They're a division rival. I don't care how many wins they get. Screw them.
That wasn't the take I was expecting to hear.
I want to gush over watching live Chris Tanev.
I think that we completely underestimate the skill it takes to play defense.
One highlight or several highlights does not a Calder trophy make.
I'm stepping in here. I'm going to be the crotchety old man here. They need to learn patience. They need to understand the tension, everything, and the drama.
How dare! Look at this. How is McDavid not getting a penalty?
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
And welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast, the All-Star edition.
We're All-Stars, yes.
Yes. I mean, all the Canucks are All-Stars, right? We're taking over Toronto.
Yeah, we'll just extend it to the fans, too. Let the good vibes roll.
But yeah, myself, Sean, and Tyler's joining me today. How are you doing, Tyler?
Not too bad. Back-to-back shows. It feels like we were just on yesterday, I guess. It's one of the shorter turnarounds between shows, but lots to talk about still, despite that. And last weekend, just for me on the local hockey scene, I have to say this old man's body. There's a lot of older refs than me, but I was grinding all right after a U18 game Friday, a U13 game on Saturday, and playing rec hockey Saturday. Boy, my Monday was rough. I still wasn't recovered from it, but it all went pretty well. Got to call a penalty shot. Didn't have one of those yet this year, so that was good. Kid didn't score on it. Had the goalie beat. Hit the goal post. Poor little U13 player from Prince Rupert there couldn't complete that quality chance.
Yeah.
And the Canucks first overall, or at least tied with Boston first overall going into the All-Star break. So lots to feel good about there too.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's gonna. There's a lot to talk about here. First off, had a very interesting debate on on 32 Thoughts the latest one
about
yesterday, slashing about slashing in hockey. And it was spirited, to say the least. And this all stemmed from the Leafs game earlier this week where John Tavares got his stick slashed, and it got slashed, and then he ended up like a few seconds later leaning on it and it breaking, and then that's what triggered the slashing call by the ref. We have our own ref here, Tyler. And so when I listened to that podcast, and I was very interested to see what Tyler's take on this was. So Tyler, I'm going to give you the floor here, and go from there and see if you can enlighten us on all of that.
Well, I can't say that I've seen this before either, where it takes that long from the actual act before the arm to go in the air. And just looking at a couple of quick replays, I mean, it looks like a slash to me. It's pretty good backswing. It's right on the middle of the stick. It's not an attempt on the puck. And right away you could see Tavares is kind of wondering about the stick. But what a terrible look that is. I mean, honestly, like if I did that as a referee and the guy's complaining to me and then he leans on his stick and breaks it and then I call the penalty, I mean, I would get crucified. That's unbelievable that actually would happen. Now, I don't know what the NHL referees are told. Nobody knows because there's no transparency around that. But man, oh man, I would suspect that was probably part of the post-game evaluation. I mean, that's just wow. Like, I mean, that's and the reason why Elliot Friedman and Jeff Merrick were into it so much is because Jeff Merrick. I mean, maybe if you're going to have a debate, you got to have 2 points of view. But I mean, if Jeff Merrick thinks that that's a good thing and it's all in the spirit of getting the call right, I mean, we're going to see people breaking their sticks all the time. It's not like it costs them anything. It's not like we're beer league players, right? Where it's a $200 stick or something, $300 stick, some guys. And, nobody, they don't want to break their stick. But these guys
No.
are like, it doesn't matter to them. I don't like that at all. But, when we were preparing for this, you asked, you put it on the topic sheet, was that slashing? Yeah, well, the answer would to your question was more specifically is slashing the stick slashing or chopping the stick slashing, and the answer is it depends. Now, I think you've got something queued up for me that I pulled out of the there it is here. It is pulled out of the old slides I used to. Here it is. This is the old referee clinic from years ago. I don't know if they're still doing this now, but we used to show this to teach the people about slashing, and it really depends, right? The slash in Tavares' case was in that middle yellow part. It's a slash. It's not a play on the puck. If you're going to tap the stick, it should be either to lift the stick or to try to get the puck off the stick, knock the blade, get the puck. It's about making a play on the puck. That wasn't. The guy just took a pretty aggressive chop at the middle of the stick. But the middle of the stick offers a bit more, I guess, discretion for the referee compared to the red part there, where it's on the hands. It's automatic. Doesn't matter how hard it is, right? Can't slash the hands. The green part's about play on the puck. So there was, I suppose, some reluctance with the referee, and that's why it just really was stinky to me that then the deciding factor was seeing the stick break. But it was in that yellow space, and I don't know if NHL referees, operate this way when it comes to slashing. But in the world that I operate, this is what we teach and this is what we preach. If you tap the stick in the middle part and it's not very aggressive and it doesn't cause a loss of the puck or have any real impact in impeding progress, just let's move on, right? It's a good non-call. It's just a tap. That wasn't a tap.
When I went and read through this, and then rewatched that play, for me it's clearly a downward contact brackets chop that may be penalized, and that may be again.
There's so much discretion, right? But that's like I didn't know the referees had that much discretion. I mean, that is discretion. It's just I still can't get over that. Anyways, thanks for putting that on there, Sean. We can probably move on from that. But geez, no. Yeah, you can go stick to stick if it's an attempt on playing the puck, and those are typically stick lifts or a little tap at the blade to try to knock the puck off the guy's stick. It's about the intent, right? What was the intent of that play there? It was just to chop Tavares' stick. It has nothing to do with trying to get a puck. They didn't even have the puck.
Yeah, and even when Tavares leaned on it, you could tell he didn't lean on it that hard, and it broke. Like, it was he would have got, had he not done that and kept trying to play with that, there could have been a chance he would have said he played with a broken stick. So yeah, I think the Merrick stance on that, it depends if the stick breaks, I think is not right. I think it needs to be more than just that, but that specific instance, the way he came down on the stick, I think that definitely warranted a slashing call.
I mean, it'd be more acceptable to me if the sequence happened a little bit faster. So let's say Tavares wasn't carrying his stick like off the ice as he was when it was slashed, and then he's looking at it and then he's like, "Oh, it's broken. Okay, let me break it to make sure the ref can see." Right? I mean, that's selling a call. That's just bad. Mm-hmm. But if he had the stick down on the ice, took the tap, and then kind of right away, if he disguises it and breaks it, and it's all happening at once, and there's not, you're not having this time delay where the referee gets to think about it. Like, that would have been a little, I think people could accept that more. That's more within what we're used to seeing, intent and consequence and whether the arm goes in the air or not. But this was something else. The ref didn't want to call the penalty until Tavares broke the stick. And then all of a sudden there's I mean, that's just, I just can't get over that. I just can't get over that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then, so then there was multitude of controversial calls over the last week here. You had that one. You had a couple others, And then the one for Canucks fans that got us all up in arms on
Yes.
Saturday night, you have Tyler Myers going in, making a check, making contact with Sean Corrali's face with his elbow, blooding him up, and then Ian Cole comes in, hits another Blue Jackets player. The refs called a 5-minute major on Ian Cole, reviewed it, changed the call, and gave Tyler Myers a 5-minute major and a game misconduct for it.
Wow. Yeah.
And then,
And there's a problem, right? When even the people broadcasting the game don't know what to say about it. They don't know what's happening. I think John Shorthouse dropped a line about he's losing brain cells by the moment. Like,
yes,
it just like, I don't know we don't know what the parameters are that they're working within, and whether that was allowed based on the marching orders that the refs have. Maybe that's not the right phrase for it. The parameters within they're supposed to be working the video review system. But this needs to be explained to people beforehand. For this to come up as a surprise like that, where everybody in the media is scratching their head saying, "I haven't seen this before." I mean, the NHL is doing itself no favors with people when it comes to wondering about the fairness of the game, right? Like, I don't think they're out there to try to screw the Canucks. And puck don't lie; they won the game anyways. But like that's God, that stinks. And again, if this is allowed, you and we agree on this. We've been talking about this for years. I mean, we want less video review than what we have now.
Yeah.
Right? We're of that sort. And now they just kind of expanded it some more. Like, I was under the understanding that it was okay. If you call a major penalty, this is an opportunity to make sure that it's a major penalty. And then you can either uphold it or downgrade it or make it no call at all. It's not to now just open up the whole thing to video and just litigate the game from the tablet.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sean.
The can of worms that this could potentially open up. I mean, video reviews started and challenges started happening more regularly after a complete and utter blown call when Matt Duchene was miles offside. He couldn't see the blue line.
Like a lot of feet offside.
Yeah. And now we're litigating the game by millimeters, and whether the skate blade's off or not, or that's now changed. It's just the spirit of the rule, the spirit of all this is now just gone out the window. And you and I are on the same page, and I'm pretty sure Kevin and Chris are pretty close, and Dev's pretty close there as well. As less video review is the better, because it just takes the steam out of the game, it takes the energy out of the game.
Yeah.
That being said,
again, and I'll tell people this: the problem with video is that it's no longer it's no longer this artistic form of officiating where there's some feel and discretion and the human element that more often than not gets things correct. It's not always correct. There are bad things missed. There are egregious mistakes that happen. Once you introduce the video, it has to become literal, and that's never really been the objective of the video review system when it came in. It was to protect the leagues from egg on their face over obvious mistakes and to fix obvious mistakes. And it's not that. And we see this in all sports. In baseball, it's ridiculous now with the microscopic look at foot on bag or tag or the pop-up slide with the foot coming off the bag. In football, it's just insanity. I mean, we're looking for grains of grass, like the toe in or out. The VAR in football, like a soccer that is really a mess. Like, that's just, I mean, people are losing hair over that. Like, it's, you know what I mean? And now we're seeing it in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And then and in hockey, I mean, they're bringing in video review at the World Junior level, where it's not. I mean, the officials, I don't know kind of every country and what depth pool they're sending there, but these are, relatively speaking, amateurs compared to what NHL refs are and the guys doing other pro leagues around the world.
They don't like with that.
Exactly, and it's just a mess. Like, it's just. I mean, how many video review public
5-minute majors
relations
video
nightmares were
reviews.
there
Yeah,
during the World
yeah,
Junior Tournament. Terrible.
yeah.
Just get rid of it.
No, I just gotta limit it to like I feel like it should be just limited to whether or not it like the pucks cross the line, or because even one of the other ones was a goalie interference one with in that same Toronto game. Like it's just at some point you're making it more more of a bureaucratic mess than what we want from hockey, which is high speed, selling it on the ice as opposed to on a computer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement that it just is. And then poor Elliot Friedman. Poor Elliot Friedman gets thrown to the fucking wolves because the Canucks game went late that on Saturday. They have to throw to Scott Oak and Chris Tanev for after hours, but they have to like get something in there about that call, and all you hear from Friedman is they just want to get the call right. Okay, that's fine, but like again, as you said, the communication beforehand, everyone's like, "You're allowed to do that?"
Yeah,
like,
are they given the authority to do that? That's the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just times
what this reminds me of a little
you
bit.
guys will ask, "Are we allowed to do this?" I don't have the authority to do that.
Yeah,
that's often the answer, right?
Yeah. What this reminds me of a little bit is the skate in the crease. Brett Hull cup-winning goal versus the Buffalo Sabres, because there's conflicting stories about what happened with the changing of that rule throughout that season. Yeah. And Brett Hull stands adamant that it was changed and the call was right. Sabres don't think so. It's a clusterfuck. Like, be better communicating your rules. Be better communicating any changes to them. Be better like clarifying what can and cannot happen with video review, especially because it's a big part of the game now, unfortunately. And maybe we'll gripe and moan about it, but we'll accept it right now. Or like there's not. It just feels like it just feels like they're just changing things at the whim, and it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right.
Well, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't give anybody involved, never mind the people watching, and it's an entertainment product, so that means a lot. But you've also got legal sports betting considerations. But the people actually involved inside the glass, the players and the coaches, they need to know what the rules of engagement are, and they don't seem to know with this.
Yeah,
like that's so concerning, right?
Like at least we know that this is a possibility now. Could you imagine if this was they pulled this out for the first time in the playoffs? Hell, even if this gets pulled out in the playoffs, it's going to be a dog show anyways. But could you?
You just know something like this is coming.
Oh,
like you say, at least we've seen it before now. We can be prepared for this particular thing. Wait till the next surprise happens.
Well, that's the other thing. I think on that same 32 Thoughts episode, they're like, they went through a couple other like first time, like, I didn't know this could happen. And it's just like, we should know what could happen. Like, everyone was breaking out the rule book and saying how it was like, you can't do this. And Angela's like, no, we can. It's like,
yeah.
Just if you want to, I have no issues if you want to change it to that. But
I can't wait for nice and calm Sean during the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is gonna be.
I'm gonna have
to
remember how to act during playoffs.
Boy, oh boy.
But but luckily the Canucks were able to kill off that 5-minute power play.
Yeah.
Got the crowd right back into it.
Yes. It does have that effect when you can pull it out like that.
And then Brock Besser shows up, scores a hat trick, including his 30th goal of the year.
Yeah.
Finally.
And set up the
30 goals
winner
for a while.
Yeah.
And then set up the OT winner.
What a great story he's been. I mean, everything about the Canucks, it's been a great season so far, and it's been a great story as far as how quickly they've turned things around and into this new regime with Jim Rutherford, Patrick Elvine, and Rick Tocchet and his coaching staff. But Brock Besser, the Canuck fans know his story well. They know the issues with his dad and some challenges, in the personal life, trying to keep his focus on hockey and losing his father and all that. Um, it's amazing what a good start can do, right? I mean, he had that great first night against Edmonton and really set a tone for the whole season, and he's been able to keep it going here to the point of 30-goal season to this point. And I'm sure there's lots of parts of his game that he would like to improve upon, and that feels there's room to grow with. But what a turnaround! It's been an enormous boost for the Canucks to have him in particular producing the way that he is.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got him with 30 goals. Petey's getting close on that already as well. Petey, Miller, and Quinn Hughes are all on pace for 100-plus points this year so far. Hughes on pace for 100 points as a defenseman's stellar. Like,
Yeah,
who's
it's crazy.
I mean, I'd say who saw that coming, but I think we all had that inkling that he could be that type of offensive defenseman. But his whole game this year has been fantastic.
Yeah.
The race between him and Makar for the Norris is going to be tight.
And it's amazing. Like Besser, he was the man of the hour on Saturday, and then you go back to the St. Louis game on Wednesday, and it was Pius Suter, and he had his hat trick there, and the Canucks didn't finish the job in the overtime, but still collected the 1 point there. And it's just the Canucks have enough of this on their lineup that somebody is stepping up each night, and if they're not winning, they're close.
Yeah. How is it? What it's a 10 or 11 game point streak now. So going in, and in the last 20 games, while doing this while the Oilers are on their 15, 16 game win streak. And despite that, they've only in the last 20 games, they've only gained 2 points on the Canucks. Like the Oilers are catching up. They passed LA, who's floundering. They've caught up to Vegas a little bit, but with the Canucks, they haven't, because the Canucks have been essentially just as hot, just haven't strung together all those wins.
Yeah.
So it's fantastic. Before we get to, I want to ask one more question that wasn't on the agenda here, Tyler. What do you think has been the biggest difference between last year and this year for the Canucks that's led to this much success?
Oh, well, I mean, the style of play. Yeah, I just think it's just way more straight line, way more direct. There's an emphasis on the forecheck. They've had their moments where they've sort of deviated from what's worked, and it starts getting sloppy. But that's been the biggest thing. I mean, and I know that's kind of broadly describing it, but you could just see it right away, even the first night, how much more just trying to just move up the ice in a more direct manner and not sort of spend as much time on the perimeter. That's kind of how I see it. They were still getting good results with their special teams in the past, power play, that, much of the time, not all the time, but yeah, the 5-on-5 play, like they are just, I mean, that's been such a big part of why they're winning so much, is they can just outlast other teams with that. And we're seeing now where they're pulling out comebacks just because, they have that relentlessness, and Talk has been driving that hard. And when guys are a little bit off, no one escapes public accountability, including Elias Pettersson and top players. So everybody's pretty committed.
No, I agree with you. It's the structure and style of play, whether it's offensively being so much more direct and getting to the net, or just be like they're structured defensively, and their ability to take away high danger chances and rush chances this year has been huge. I think a lot. I think I saw a lot of conversations about whether it's the depth or the blue line or anything like that. I think it's just more all-encompassing structure that has been the biggest difference. Rick Tocchet's been has is game changer for this franchise with how he's come in and set this team up for success with the system and direction that he's guiding them in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then outside of the overall record, what part of the Canucks season has surprised you most?
Well, in terms of stuff that they, that's maybe more just good fortune, and I'm knocking on the wood here, but obviously, the injuries has not uh, been a big thing to this point. There was a stretch there where they were getting a little thinner on defense, and then it started to show in their game a little bit. But that's obviously been great. But the depth of the talent pool. Who knew that there was this much talent that the coaches could find in this group of players? And you're seeing contributions all over the place. You got Dakota Joshua playing better than it seems like ever. Excuse me. Sam Lafferty comes in. He's been great. Pius Suter, I mentioned earlier. Niels Hoglander, what a reclamation project he's been, right? I mean, the depth of the team is amazing, and the star players are still their best players. So that you put all that together, and it's it's a formula for success. But you definitely need your bottom six forwards and your third defense pair to contribute, and they are. And there's been a nice
Yeah,
mix of veteran and younger talent there too.
I would say it's the depth on the blue line has been the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah,
Whether
we
it's
were
Noah
we were. I think our
Juleson,
last show before like the preseason started, I think we were worried about that defense, and it's just
yeah,
amazing, right?
yeah, Noah Juleson's become a very solid defenseman for them. Even with Carson Soucy out again, he's basically taken over that 6-7 defenseman role. Tyler Myers has been night and day compared to last year.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he still has his Tyler Myers chaos giraffe mode that shows up every once in a while, but he's for the most part he's been solid. He's making smart plays, and that's been huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say the depth, like I said, the depth they picked up Zadorov. Soucy's been good when he's been healthy. Friedman's been a good depth piece for the Canucks since they acquired him. Yeah, and Ian Cole. I don't think we talk enough about how just a steadying, solid defenseman Ian Cole is for the
Yeah.
Canucks.
It's amazing
And
what a veteran, sort of non-flashy type defenseman does to stabilize things back there, eh?
yeah,
And even noticed the other night they had him doing some media as well, right? I really like that too. There's times where the star players are constantly the ones in front of the camera, and they need a break from that sometimes. And it's nice to have a veteran like him who can come out and say the right things and sort of take the heat
hmm
off the other players a little bit.
yeah, yeah. So I think that for me that's the big one. And then also like we talk about depth. It's also the All-Star break in the AHL. Arshdeep Bains is representing the Abbotsford Canucks at the AHL All-Star game. He's a point per game player down there. The Canucks, I think, are going to over-marinate him down there as much as they can. I know Kev's talked about how if he's someone looking for a player on the sort of a prospect or a young player to acquire if the Canucks are looking to add, it's Arshdeep Bains. I think he might be. I don't want to say untouchable, but like he's very. I think the Canucks value him very high, and it will take a lot to get him. And then you've got Vasily Podkolzin finding his game. I think he put up 3 goals and 2 assists in 2 games over the weekend against the Bakersfield Condors. He got into a fight.
Yeah, and did not too bad apparently.
Yeah,
Good.
and he's and for most of January, I think it counted like maybe 1 or 2 games where he was held without a shot. Like he's the only Abbotsford player with over 100 shots on net, and he's got 126 or something like that. So, and that's with missing a lot of games. with that horrific injury at the beginning, early in the season. We saw this with Höglander last year, with like this over marinating and ripening down in the AHL. I don't see the Canucks calling Podkolzin up this year. If he's with them through till the end of the year, because I could see him potentially being trade bait here. But I could also see them trying to hold on to him, because going into next year we talked about how good Dakota Joshua's played. He may be pricing the Canucks out of his next contract.
Yes.
Teddy Bluger needs a new deal. You could potentially, was it Lafferty needs a new deal as well. So you've got spots for him to step up next year in the bottom six if needed. Because I think if you look at the how Dakota Joshua plays, he's big, he uses his size, but he's not like like your old school prototypical power forward. He's definitely one of the more newer school guys, and Podkolzin could play that.
Yeah.
So that he could be a just slot in and play in that role, in a bottom six role next year, if they can't sign Joshua.
And a cap system too. This is so key, right? We've seen this with various teams that have had a lot of success. That as you mentioned, Joshua, as players perform and then earn the raise, there's only so much money to go around within the salary cap. So inevitably, you'll lose some for that reason. They'll find an opportunity elsewhere where they're more affordable. But then you got to come out, find somebody in your system to replace at lower cost. And maybe the Canucks are finally starting to get there. There just didn't seem to be any sort of long-term planning up until more recently in that regard.
Yeah, and it's gonna be very, like, going into the deadline, seeing what the Canucks do. I think I've talked about it for the past 3 episodes about the deadline, and I'm on hashtag Team No Rentals, because it's just I want to see this, because I think as good as this season is, and I do believe that they need to reward this team for what they've done. I think that needs to be done with a bit more of a long-term lens here, and trying to build this team to be more than just a 1-year deal, a 1-year team.
Yeah.
So
I have a lot of faith that they do have an eye towards the future. But we have heard Patrick Allvin on record as saying, he does owe it to the team to, give them a good chance here this year.
Yeah, and so I wonder if they're essentially looking for their version of, say, a Brandon Hagel or a Blake Coleman or a Barclay Goodrow that Tampa Bay's picked up over the past 3, 4, 5 years here, when they may overpay, or quote unquote overpay, with draft capital, but they're acquiring players with under team control. They kind of did this with Chronic last year. Yeah, picking up a right shot defenseman under contract for this year, and still an RFA going after this year. So there's still team control there. So I think that's what we're probably seeing from the Canucks. It's hard to really see who that might be at this point, but I think that's what I really hope that's what the direction that this team's going in. Instead of going potentially big game hunting for a rental, or if they're going to go after someone, better get someone that they think that they can re-sign at the very, very least. But I really, really hope that they actually get someone who's got team control for at least 1 more year after this.
So would it then be asking too much to try and add some grit to this team? To have all of that plus some grit. That's in terms of what it is that they want to add, not so much the contractual part of that, but I'm still a little reluctant about their how well equipped the team is for playoff hockey, where there's not as much space out there. It's far more physical. There's a lot less called, or at least you can't count on the power play opportunities coming around as much to get you through a game. That's my concern. So if they can find some good ads there that aren't rentals, that would be great. But I have to admit that seems like we're asking a lot there. So that's what I'd like to see.
I know.
You know,
But I
not
think
just depth,
that's what
but
I
a
think
little
that's what
more
this needs.
ruggedness and being more equipped for the playoffs.
Well, I think that's why it's the Brandon Hagels, the Barclay Goodrows, the Blake Colemans.
Yeah,
That's why
and
I
I'm
picked
glad that
those
you
as
mentioned those names because they would fit that, right?
yeah, they're
Yeah.
hard forecheckers. They play with grit,
Yeah.
and that's what they need to be looking for. It's not necessarily adding like more quote unquote skill for the top six, because I think they've got enough in there. Like
Yeah.
even Pia Suter, like he's someone who has I think fits in that role. Like he's still a solid forechecker. But if you can basically if they can add what they want Mikheyev to be,
Hmm.
they can add that.
Yeah.
That changes the complexion of that top six a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and you know we're having this
and
discussion now, and there's an absence of actual games being played right now, and so surprise, surprise, in the Vancouver Canucks market, there's a lot of speculation, rumor, and let's not confuse the two, right? Like there's stuff that gets called rumors that is more just it's just certain people with a platform throwing out some ideas, but there might not actually be anything to it. And then there's real rumors where there are people behind the scenes talking, and you know the reporters are picking up some bits and pieces of information how there might be some trade coming for this player or that player. So fans try to decipher between the two. I mean, obviously, it's an exciting time as a Canuck fan, wondering, okay, what might they do to improve the team? And then it gets to what are the cap implications, and which players have the contracts that would create the cap space to make those moves happen. And I think that's what we're seeing, right? When you start seeing names like Andrei Kuzmenko and Nikita Zadorov even thrown around, which on X.com yesterday, that seemed to catch a lot of people by surprise, you and I included. But that was that resulted from Rick Dollywell putting out a tweet about, I guess he was in touch with Zadorov's agent Dan Milstein about how there's no desire to to change teams or anything like that. And I mean, I hope not. He's a big defenseman they just acquired this season, so yeah. Prepare for more of that silliness.
yeah, I think it's just know that there's gonna be speculation more than rumors that can go that can spread like wildfire, and then people think that they're rumors. So it is definitely silly season time in the NHL. Just make sure you
Just
understand.
because you and I throw out a couple of names, say, "Oh, it'd be interesting if they moved him and what kind of space they'd have and who they could acquire for that." But it doesn't mean, people. It doesn't mean that we have some intelligence there. In fact, we don't have intelligence. There's very little of that on this show. In fact, so don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's I joke around here, but that's broadly I think what's happening with fans right now is they're maybe putting a little bit too much stock into just some analysis and some ideas being tossed about as opposed to real
And even
smoke
with
and
the
real fire.
Zadorov thing, I don't think they want to move him, but
No.
I think they're exploring all their options. Because if they say can't remember who reported it, but there was a report out there that Quinn Hughes was pushing for the Canucks to bring Tanev home. And he makes a decent amount of money on the cap. So if you're gonna do that, you're gonna have to move out some cap, as well as maybe like free up a roster spot here or there to make it work. So like if the Canucks are going to make a move like that, it's going to be part of a gigantic potential swing for the fences move, which I don't know if I see coming, but they have surprised me in the past. So, but let me go back to this is the 1 year anniversary of the Bo Horvat trade.
Yeah.
So I think we all saw that coming, but then they acquired that first round pick in that deal, and then flipped it for Hronek out of nowhere. No one saw that coming. Yeah. So as much as we think we think we have an idea of what the Canucks might do, they could come out and surprise us. Like I suspect they're going after names that we don't even know yet are potentially available. They're picking at players that they think are I think if they might be looking for another Philip Ronek situation just on the forward side. Again, looking for a Blake Coleman, Brandon Hagel, or Barclay Goodrow type player who's in that type of situation where they may not fit into the future plans of a team or the cap plans of a team, and the Canucks can capitalize on it. So, like, I looked at some of the RFAs available for this year and next, and there's nothing that's really standing out for me, but like I haven't really parsed through it as much as I should, as I would like to. So,
Mhm.
I think it should be, it's gonna be fun going in for the next month. It's gonna be frustrating. It's gonna be
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah.
But that's like it's also like we go from being everyone wanting the team to sell off assets to, okay, what's the right buying tactic here? So let's I can't wait to see what happens. I can't wait for the Canucks hockey to start up again. I'm already like feeling a little like not
You're
sure
a
what
little
to do with
antsy.
my evenings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, we got this whole week open.
Yeah. Producer Heidi's going, we can go to bed at a decent hour, Sean. So, but yeah, like I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the Canucks going forward. It's been such an awesome season so far, and let alone we get to see all of them take over Toronto like
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah. Well, Canuck fans
So
with that, there's many among us that have this, sort of like just complex about Toronto. Let's just put it that way. I'm just gonna say it. Just,
yeah.
this is your time. This is it. This is it right here. Canucks are taking over.
Well, was it the Canucks who Toronto put up a graphic with like all the screen like the different screens in the picture filled up by with some Leafs players going to that are going to the All-Star game, but had to double
Yes.
up a couple, and
Yep.
then Canucks did that, didn't have to because they have
That's
more.
totally many options. That's right.
So. Before we get into a little bit more with the All-Star game, we did have an update on the 2018 World Junior investigation.
Yes.
So just quick warning there for anyone who has just quick warning there for that.
Yep.
We found earlier this week, Alex Formenton was formally charged with sexual assault, and then today, the 4 other players that were granted leave by their NHL, the 4 NHL players that were granted leave by their NHL teams were charged as well. So Dylan Dubé, Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, and Cal Foote.
Yes, and just to make the details a little more clear, this has been confirmed through the media, through the representatives for those 4 players. The London Police Service has not come out and actually said anything official about it, although we are expecting to hear more on this Monday during a press conference that will be held in London. Hopefully the public will get I'm not expecting much, but I should get some degree of clarity as to the nature of the charges and whether they're all going to be charged, as a group or if it's individual, and whether the charges vary by the player. So there's still a lot of questions around all of that. So we should get some more clarity in a more official fashion from the London Police Service on Monday. But at this point, we do know that the 5 that you mentioned and received leaves of absences from their teams have had the charges.
Yeah. The Flames have also released a statement today regarding their initial statement about Dylan Dubé, mentioning mental health, just clarifying that they did not know of any charges that were going to be laid to him.
Yeah.
I still think there at this point, when it's regards to what the NHL and the teams do, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to hear too much more from them until we hear more from the London police and what the next steps that they'll be taking, as well as court procedures take going forwards. There's a lot of legality here that is way over our heads.
Yeah.
We're
And
just
as
gonna
far as
leave.
like what the NHL and Hockey Canada would do with these guys, I mean, there's they have to kind of keep an eye on precedents around internal discipline of players as they face legal issues. So they've got to be careful with that. If they sort of take this to another level, then that has implications down the road should something else come up. So that's why I know people want to see something done about this, but that's why there's so much delicacy that's involved around this. So, but once something is made official by the London Police Service, there's probably a good chance we'll see some action taken by the NHL and possibly Hockey Canada as well.
Yeah, and well, I think was at this point, I'm not sure there's much more we can add here. I think we'll just continue to sort of monitor this and talk what we feel we can talk about as this goes forwards. Again, I think just our thoughts go towards the victim here, their family, their friends, everyone involved there, and we really hope that justice is served here, and we can, as well as that the hockey community as a whole can learn from this and become better. So.
Yep. And part of that is ensuring that there's due process for all the people involved as they face these charges, and people need to just be, as I talked about on our show last week, like patience to let the process play out. That's very important here.
Yes.
Better chance of getting the right outcome in this whole thing, and that justice that you're talking about, if the process plays out. So just let's let it happen.
So, all right, back onto some more fun stuff here. With the All-Star weekend coming up, will you be watching any of it? And if so, what are you looking forward to there, Tyler?
I can't see myself watching much of it. No. I mean, I think in the past when they were doing the drafting of teams, that's the most fascinating part about it, and might catch some of that. As is typically the case, I got a pretty full weekend here coming up with my hockey duties.
Yeah. Well, that's on Thursday, I believe. So,
yeah. So Thursday is free, so we should be able to catch that. And then, of course, there's the All-Star Skills competition on the Friday and the game on the Saturday. But yeah, I can't say I have a ton of interest in it. But certainly with more Canucks present, I'll at least be keeping tabs on it more than I might otherwise.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm interested to see what the skills competition looks like. Again, I'm not too sure I'll sit down and watch it all, but I'll probably find a way to watch a little bit here and there. Same with the All-Star game. But the one part I am actually very interested in, and it's on Thursday as well, and I hope I can find some. I hope I'm able to watch it. Is the women's 3-on-3 showcase game.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the highlights from PWHL, and I've watched a little bit here and there. The one player I want to see watch a little more close is Taylor Heisey. She was the first overall pick in the inaugural draft. She's just out of college. She scored a couple absolute just beauties earlier on in the season. And I just can't wait to see some more of that, because I think you're going to start with this here, and I think you're just going to see them being able to be professionals here. You're going to see the skill level up. You're going to see the play level go up throughout this season and going forwards. So I always love watching. I mean, it's hockey. I love watching hockey, and I'm interested to see what the 3-on-3 looks like, and B, I want to see some of the younger kids like Taylor Heisey play, because they're gonna take this game to the next level.
And this is
As
the
much
timing of this is really good too, right? Because the PWHL has been going now for almost a month, and they're starting some of the star players, such Taylor, are starting to build some more name recognition that maybe wasn't there for them before, and now they get this bigger platform to kind of build off of that, and all of those things are positives for sure.
Yeah. All right, and then is there anything else, Tyler, that you want to talk about?
No, I mean, just seeing as we were just on Thursday, we're keeping up to date a little more than it was before. This is two shows in the span of like what, 5 days after being off for weeks and weeks and weeks. But no, I think we can move right to that one last question segment.
All right. So with the All-Star game, they brought in some All-Star celebrity coaches / captains. You have Justin Bieber, Will Arnett, Tate McRae, and Michael Bublé. So remove those 4. Who else would you like to see in that role going forwards if they keep this as part of the All-Star festivities?
I can't come up with the actor's name, but I would love to see either Ricky or Julian from the Trailer Park Boys. One of those two.
If we're gonna go that way,
I feel like an idiot here that I don't know the actor's name, but
yeah.
Can you imagine? Even just like they don't even have to do anything; they just have to be there.
Like in that realm as well, you get Jared Queso from Letterkenny Shoresy fame.
Sure, yes.
Yeah, that would be really good.
I mean, I kind of gave Ryan Reynolds a little thought there for a second, but I don't know if he fits the level of ridiculousness for this.
Well, you've got, I think John Hamm's a massive blues fan.
He could get another great one.
Jenna Fisher.
Yes. Great call there. Yeah.
As well as who was her partner husband in The Office? Why am I drawing a blank on his name? But he's a hockey fan. He was in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial and got like leveled. It's great.
Are you?
No, but he'd be good too.
That'd be a good one too. Sure, we're just throwing.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
Keanu Reeves would be good as well. But for me, like, and this will be past you, Tyler, because it's all going list all the wrestlers now.
Yeah.
So you've got Chelsea Green, who's from Victoria, Canucks fan. She's like put up Canucks colors and all that on her gear. She'd be fantastic. She's even like complained in kayfabe storyline that she wishes she was in there instead of Bublé. So I think she'd be fantastic. You've got the Montreal connection with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yes,
I think they'd be awesome. There's a few wrestlers that are big hockey fans too. So and they know how to cut a promo. It'd be awesome. Even you got like 4 wrestlers, I think it'd be fantastic. Just because they've got that presence, they've got that like the willingness to. I think it'd be fantastic. You could get Jack. You could even get some of like even if you get like some of like the media. So you could get Bieksa, you could get Biz, you could get
I mean, hey, how about sending? I know it's lame. It wouldn't get much traction. Can you imagine how uncomfortable looking Elliot Friedman might come off? Oh my God, this is overwhelming back here. I love Elliot. I'm not trying to pick on Elliot, but if just the image of that would be interesting. Like, you know,
Bruce Boudreau's favorite media person and Jackie Redmond. So like, there's
yes,
that would be
yes.
Now I got Tyler's.
Got the wheel turning. Well, she's actually one of the few. She's actually one of the few people I would that actually does get to spend some time on the bench during games when they do those in-game interviews. Her working for TNT these days on their hockey coverage.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and she's a wrestler crossover because she does.
That's right.
Backstage interviewing with the WWE as well. So
yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be, if you could get something like that, it'd be fantastic. They really do need to do a wrestling one now. Like, honestly, like do a like you got TKO with the WWE or AEW. TNT AEW's got the full on. If who covers the All-Star game? Is it ESPN?
ESPN has the All-Star game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so ESPN does the All-Star game, and Turner, TNT, Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever you want to refer to. They have the Winter Classic every year. So that's how they've got that divided up.
If TNT had the All-Star game, you could totally get a few of the AEW guys because they've got Edge, who's a massive Leafs fan, big hockey guy. You've got a few other Canadians in there, but you could definitely make.
Just think about it though, Ricky and Julian. One little cheap shot, and they'll be barking at each other. It'd be great theater, wouldn't it?
You could go full on Canadian. You could get, you could have like the Trailer Park Boys in one, Letterkenny Shoresy as another, and then you throw in Fubar, Terry.
Yeah.
Oh, woo! As another. Oh, there we go. Now we've got it. Let alone even just put Terry, Newfoundland guy who's the Growlers called up because they were so short this a couple weeks ago. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on his name too? Because he's on. He acts in his Terry Ryan. He's on Shoresy. He's part of that show as well. So you'd have him as well as you can get Dylan Playfair and his buddy to do all the chirping from their Letterkenny days as well. Like, here now we're cooking. Now we're cooking.
We're way in the weeds here now. This has been fun though.
Oh yes, thanks, all right, Tyler.
Let's wrap it up before we make.
Let's wrap it up. All right, Tyler. How do we follow you?
That's too late. I'm on X at T-Noble, TNOBLE, the spelling there.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at BeardedCanucks03. You can follow Kevin on the social medias at KEVOLE. Chris is Schneidz, SCHNEIDZ. Devin is Gordhouse09. He is currently in Ontario.
He has made it to Sault Ste. Marie?
He went past Sault Ste. Marie, yes.
Okay.
He is going to be back in Calgary, so I'm hoping to maybe get him in person with him and I at one point for a podcast. See if we can get that happening.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yep. Before he makes his official move out to Ontario. But we'll hopefully get that before too long here. You can follow the podcast on X, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at Shifts and Pucks, and download and subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for tuning in all the time, and we will talk to you later. Bye for now.